Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the main part that we're going to cover today. So I'm going to go back to here.
Okay.
Um,
Thanks for
now,
covering.
have you, yeah, no problem at all. Absolutely. Have you had a chance yet to start signing up with, I think I sent you the sign up information for all three of the pharmacies.
You did. I haven't done it with the pharmacies. I was doing it with the other vendors.
The nutritional supplement vendors?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just, those are straightforward because those are pretty automatic. The pharmacy ones do take a few days because they have to check credentials and things like that. So you may
Okay.
want to put the pharmacy ones ahead of the other ones, and then that way, you'll get all the approvals in place from the pharmacies because they'll take 2 or 3 days to get you through an approval. Especially, some of them are a little stickier than others. One of them is stickier than the others in terms of making sure they don't, because these pharmacies want to keep their license too, and there's a lot of shady docs that are out here doing things like, prescribing hormones and things without even seeing the patients and things like that. And
Mhm.
pharmacies don't want to get caught up in that because they can lose their license if they are knowingly selling prescriptions, especially controls to patients that the doctor hasn't even seen.
Mhm.
So they're gonna ask you, what's your business model and do you see the
There
patients
were
and so
there
on
were
and so
only two
forth.
pharmacies, right? It was the Empower and the
No,
Taylor.
there were three. There was APS. I think I sent you the APS also. If not, I will send it. But so anyway, the way to think about the three. Here's the scenario with the three. Let me write this up for you. Why there's three and how we recommend using them. Okay, so number one is actually APS. Well, no, let's start with Empower. So Empower is a 503B. Okay. And I think we went through last time what that means, but essentially it means that they are closer to a pharmaceutical level of manufacturing facility. They're
Mm-hmm.
monitored much more closely by the government, and they actually assay 100% of all their sterile injectables. Every single batch goes out for third-party assay before it can be sold. So my recommendation is that you only use 503B / Empower for any sterile injectables. All right, now you can use them for other things as well, but at a minimum, you should only use them for sterile injectables. APS is a 503A, and 503As are more flexible. They have more offerings and more strength combinations. So I would use them for creams, capsules, etc. Now, you might use, again, if to keep one patient's medications all at one pharmacy, I wouldn't switch to APS just because of that. If they were getting sterile injectables, as long as Empower made all the creams that I was looking for, then I would just use Empower for everything. So there's going to be some overlap, okay? Because I'm not advocating that you just automatically use more than one pharmacy. But I'm just telling you kind of what the strengths are, the advantages of using one versus the other. And then TaylorMade is for peptides. Neither of the other two, and neither do most pharmacies do not make peptides. And TaylorMade is the kingpin of peptides. They're the best at it. They've got the best support. They've got a great support guy there, Ryan. They really know their peptides, and they've got the most peptides of anybody. I mean, they've got, I'll bring up their catalog here for you real quick here. If I didn't send, I thought I had sent this to you already. Maybe I didn't. If I didn't, I will send you their catalogs for both of them. Yeah, here we go. So here is their peptide catalog, 64 pages, but they actually go through. So they're licensed in almost all the states. Here's their peptides, all the BPC 157, CJC 1295, Dihexa. These are ones that I know clinicians actually use. Ipamorelin, melanotan 2, MK677, bremelanotide. That's awesome for sexual dysfunction. C-Lank, a lot of practitioners are using that. Tesamorelin, tesofensine, thymosin alpha-1 and beta-4, VIP. So again, they've got the most extensive lineup of peptides of anybody. I think they've got a lot of money behind them, so they do things right. They don't cut corners. They really do things right. So from a peptide perspective, that's where I would go. So what I do is, the way I think of this is, if the patient is going to get sterile injectables, I would definitely use Empower. And if Empower makes the rest of what they order, then I would get everything from Empower. If Empower doesn't make the rest of what you need for that patient, then I would get the other things from APS or TaylorMade, because again, neither one of these two make peptides. I mean, other than a couple of they make like Sermorelin, but that's a baseline peptide. Most people aren't using Sermorelin because CJC 1295 is the grown-up Sermorelin. It's a much better product. It's the same core formula, but it's been reformulated to avoid one of the problems with Sermorelin is it does down-regulate after a while, whereas CJC 1295 does not. It does not down-regulate even. So after continued use, CJC 1295 will not down-regulate their own production, whereas Sermorelin does have a tendency to down-regulate somewhat after a while. So, so like I said, and so other than Sermorelin, all three of these would carry Sermorelin, but like I said, not too many people are using Sermorelin anymore that are, what I'll say, forward and modern. They're using CJC 1295 in lieu of Sermorelin. So based on that, then I would use TaylorMade for peptides. I would use Empower for any sterile injectables. And then I would use them for anything else with the same patient. And then if the patient wasn't getting any sterile injectables, generally APS's prices are a little bit lower. So I'd probably use APS if they weren't getting any sterile injectables, because again, they've got more products and more strength combinations. Like for example, take a common thing like say DHEA, pregnenolone. Empower has 10 strengths, APS has like 30 combinations. Okay. So, so basically, because again, the rigor of being a 503B means that you can't really offer as many combinations. So same thing with thyroid. Like if you're using compounded thyroid, Empower has 5 or 6 compounded thyroids and APS has 30 or 40. So a lot more strength combinations. So thyroid creams, things like that. Now, so that's kind of, those are kind of the break points. That's how I would think about using the different pharmacies that we are aligned with, and how they'll work well in that. And they all will do the same thing. They'll all receive our orders, process them, put in the tracking information, so you'll have a good user experience all the way around for your patients.
Okay. Yeah, this is great.
All right. So what I wanted to cover is here today is the process then of, so you'll understand this, of how you're going to set up your medications, how you're going to sell them. So, because like I said, that's a concept you haven't done yet. So, but our application directly supports it. So let me first just show you how it works in a site where this is all set up. So let's go to demo 2. Let me check let me make sure we're doing okay on battery. Okay, we're got 32%. I'm probably good for another half an hour. I'm using this. Oops, where am I? Okay, so the process of setting this up is kind of, so the setup process is like, well, no, let's not show you the setup. Let's show you the end state process. So once this is done, the way this works is like this. Let's pick a patient. We'll just pick this one here. And let's go ahead and prescribe a medication. And, why are we getting that? There's something, this is a test site, so a lot of times there's something screwed up, some data screw-ups, but they pick patient like so. Okay, so basically these medications are on this. I mean, obviously it's a test patient, so there's a lot of junk on here, but Let's just go ahead and prescribe the way we'd normally prescribe. We open it up. We open up our prescribing engine. I could show you the one-click list, but I'm going to show it to you manually right now. We pick our pharmacy, we pick its compound, we pick something like DHEA. That brings up, from the ones I've added into my short list, it brings up all the combinations that have the word DHEA in it. Okay, so if we wanted a DHEA pregnenolone, we pick that one.
So I'll have to add
what we want to. You'll have to add them to your short list. They're in the master formulary already. You're not like typing these in. You're just adding them. And you'll see what I mean in a second. You're just pulling them in from a master formulary. You're not like entering them from scratch. Okay. That way we make sure that everything is consistent the way it goes to the pharmacy. So we'll pick capsules. We'll pick a strength that we want. We'll just say we want 25, 100. We'll pick next. We can have our dosages set. We can either, like, you can use a general template like this one. So this is like take 1 capsule, PO, QD, okay? Now we just added this functionality. Some of the pharmacies on controlled substances are requiring either the driver's license, social, the date of the last office visit, and a diagnostic code on controls. So when you need to include those, you can just click that, and that will populate those values if they're on that person's record. Now, obviously here we only had the last office visit and a DX code, but assuming that the values were there, that will populate those values under the script, and that'll save a phone call back from the pharmacy, okay?
If I don't click on include values, it doesn't go to the pharmacy?
No. See, if I don't include the values, nothing goes. It's just there so you can see what could go. But again, you only need it on controls, so you don't need it on every script, and you only need it on an initial script. You only need it on the first script with that pharmacy for that patient. Once you've done that, they don't need it again, I think maybe for a couple of years or something, but they don't need it every time. They just need it. But you can include it as much as you want. Just all you got to do is click include values, and that will add those values into the script. So you decide when you want to send it. And again, different pharmacies have different rules, so you have to follow the rules for that particular pharmacy. All right, so I've written my script. I put in the quantity that I want here. Let's say we want 90 capsules with 1 refill. Now we have this thing here for minimum fill in days. So that's only pretty much for testosterone and any other control where the government won't let the pharmacies fill more often. And so, like, let's say if this was a 90-day testosterone prescription, for example, they'll fill it about a week ahead of time. So you can put maybe 83 here. In other words, the next time this thing can be filled is 83 days out. What that does is it just keeps you, your staff, or the patient from unintentionally trying to fill it early, because it won't allow it to be filled until the 83 days are up. Okay, so in this case, we don't need that because it's not a control. So we just say next, and then we go ahead and finalize. Now, if we want to use this script again without having to type all that in the future, we can just add it to our one-click list by clicking that one-click list, and now it's on the one-click list, and then I just click finalize. And if you're going to use what we call our concierge method, we can default it so that would already be selected RX concierge, and then we just save the record. Okay. So
what does concierge mean for this?
So this means that the patient's going to pay you, and you're going to pay the pharmacy.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If it was a script that you were just sending to the pharmacy, you would have checked authorized fill, and that would cue the pharmacy to just fill it. The other one cues the pharmacy, lets the pharmacy know that it's prepaid and they need to charge you. So we support both models concurrently. So while you still have some patients that you're still sending scripts to the other pharmacies, and the pharmacy is just charging them, you would leave those as authorized fill. For the ones that are going to go through the concierge pharmacies, you would make all those RX concierge. Okay. All right. So now so that didn't send the script to the pharmacy, by the way. That just put it under their record. So now it's on their record. They or you can go to this page here called RX order, and this is how it's going to get ordered and paid for. So you can see here, there's the script I just did today, 523, DHEA pregnenolone. I'm going to pick the checkbox here. This checkbox here is the order checkbox, okay? So that's how I order it. And I just click submit. That will automatically then take me onto the payment page. They don't have a choice. In this case, it's only $2.70. It was 3 cents a tablet, so it made it $2.70, okay? They can pick the kind of shipping from the shipping options that you offer, from expedited shipping to ground shipping or whatever. Okay, so we'll just pick FedEx expedited. So it's $2.70 plus 18 for the shipping. There's the shipping address. If it needed to be changed for this order, they can change it right here. That'll change the shipping address for this order. Now, if they wanted to get this, now you gave them one refill rather. So if they wanted to put this on a recurring order, you can check is a recurring order, and that will then allow you to select the frequency. And this was a 90-day prescription. So now you could get this every 90 days automatically, at least up to the number of refills. It's not going to go past the number of refills. So basically, if you want somebody to be able to use that, you'll need to give them kind of enough refills to run for a while. And then that way it'll be automatic. Nobody will have to think about it. Just on the morning of that 90th day, the system will automatically charge their card and send the order off to the pharmacy without any action from anybody. Okay. If we don't select is recurring order, that's okay too. We're just going to do a single order. We now use our credit card on file. And then from there, we just simply check out. When we check out, that card's expired. So I guess I can't check out with that one. 2018-02. Let's find another one. So we'll find another card. And when we check out, that automatically then sends the order to the pharmacy. So there's no further action on your part. That when we check out and pay for it, it's concurrently sending the order off. You can see this is concurrently, thank you for your payment. It's sending the order off to the pharmacy. And you can see now that this is the order history that the patient can see and you can see. And you can see there's the item that we just ordered. Right now it's in processing. When the pharmacy starts to fill it, they will put it in pharmacy filling. So it'll update the pharmacy filling. And then when they've shipped it, it'll update to ship, and then the tracking number will be here. So either you or the patient can track the order as well. So that's the automation that's present with well, we have more than 3, but the 3 that I'm recommending for you, that's the automation that's present with those pharmacies. Okay.
Okay.
So all of that will happen all automatically just based on you doing those actions. So, just to go back now, since I put that on a one-click list, okay, I'll show you now the faster way to do it. If I go RX1C, that's my one-click list. That'll bring up the one-click list directly. And now all I got to do is pick the whatever it is that I want. I think it was this one here. And just check the box, click Add to RX, click Finalize. And again, you have to decide. Authorized fill is for the ones where the pharmacy is gonna collect the money. RX Concierge is the ones where you're gonna collect the money. Click Save, and that's it. It's done. So you can put as many as you want on that one-click list, and the one-click list embodies the SIG, the pharmacy, everything is all embodied into that one-click list. So it really saves a lot of time once you built up your library. Now, to build up your library to start with, what you do is you go to this area here called Add and Manage Formulary. So that's under Admin Options. You go to Add and Manage Formulary. And let's just stick with my test pharmacy. So basically, we'll first add the pharmacy. We pick the test pharmacy. We pick something like DHEA. That'll bring up the master list. Now, this is all the combinations in the pharmacy. This isn't the ones that you're going to use yet. This is all the combinations in the pharmacy for these products. So let's say I wanted bias, testosterone, and DHEA. I pick that. I pick it comes in either a cream or a sublingual tablet from this particular pharmacy. I pick cream. And then here's all the strengths that it comes in. And there's all my strengths, bias, test, DHEA. If I want all of those, I just click that box. If I only want a couple of these, because I'm not going to use the rest and I don't want to confuse myself, I just get these 2 and I just click Create.
So all of these will keep changing as the pharmacy changes, based on those 3 pharmacies.
Yeah, you have to set it up. You're setting this up for each pharmacy, and you have to, because see, the cost might be different from each pharmacy. The price might be different. The strength, they don't make the same thing. Like I said, there's a little bit of overlap, but there's not a lot of overlap between these 3 pharmacies. Okay.
How do I?
So this is one. Huh?
How do I add so many of these names, like all this data?
I'm going to tell you that most of even my practices that are doing $3 million, they only have about 200 to 300 items in this list. They have 200 to 300 items. You just add them one at a time. Or 2 at a time, just like I just did.
Oh, the data.
Because once they're
there,
there,
already in there.
This is This is static. This is static. You're not going to keep changing this. I mean, every other day or so, you might need to add one more, But I mean, basically, this stuff is pretty static. You're going to use the same 8 or 10 combinations of of a few different medications over and over and over.
Right.
I know when you know, a lot of people, when they come from hormone school, they really believe that you're going to use an infinite number of combinations. That's what doctors believe. And I'm just going to tell you, I've been doing this for like 9-10 years. It's just not true. Each doctor is going to use, I can go to any doctor's formulary, doctors doing $2 and $3 million, and they don't have any more than 200 to 300 items in their formulary total. Because you're not using that many different combinations. So things like DHA, pregnenolone, and bias, those will have a bunch of combinations. Testosterone, you're pretty much using 100 milligrams and 200. Doctors aren't doing too much else other than 100 and 200 on testosterone. You know, a lot of this stuff, you're only using 1 or 2 strengths. That's all you're doing. It's not using this wide, you know, according to, if you listen to Wiley Protocol people, they would have you believe that every practitioner is using 2,000 combinations because they have all these microdose adjustments to that. And what they don't even realize is that other than the 503Bs, most of the pharmacies, their precision is not even that good, that adjusting things by 1 and 2 milligrams is really not making a difference because their precision is got that much tolerance in it anyway. It's only the 503Bs that have pharmaceutical grade equipment that, for example, on a capsule, actually knows exactly how much that capsule is supposed to weigh, and when it goes to the weigh station, it'll throw it out if it's not the correct weight within like a very small tolerance. The 503As don't have that, and that's what most people are using is 503As. They don't have that kind of equipment. They're going on very broad measures. That stuff is not that precise, okay, at the 503A level. I've been in these pharmacies. It is not that precise, okay? So that's why it doesn't even make sense making like literally micro level adjustments in strengths because their equipment's not that precise anyway. Okay. So you're fooling yourself if you make really tiny adjustments, you know, from 5 to 7.5 milligrams. You're fooling yourself making those small adjustments. Their equipment, you're probably getting 6 regardless. Okay. I mean, you know, it just, again, the equipment is just not at the 503A level. And the smaller the pharmacy, at least APS is a big pharmacy, they have pretty good equipment. But when you go to the really small pharmacies, like you're sending your medications to, typically when you're just sending to the one that's close to the patient, go in those pharmacies sometime, ask to see the back room, and then go to a real pharmacy and look at the difference in the equipment. There's a humongous difference in the equipment at these little mom and pop pharmacies versus the large pharmacies that can afford a better machine. You know, like I was talking to Sean Norian, who's the owner of Empower, and he just bought a ginormous machine to make pellets because they got into the pellet business here recently. And the machine that he bought was like a couple $1 million. The machine that most pharmacies have is like $200,000. There's a whole different level of capabilities of that machine in terms of precision. You know, his machine can compress the pellet in such a way that they don't even need to add fillers because it makes it stick together with compression instead of putting a bunch of fillers. And the fillers are what cause a lot of the reactions to the pellets is the fillers. People either use cholesterol or they don't use cholesterol, and that stuff creates reactions. And their pellets don't have any filler because their machine can compress it together enough to keep it together without using filler material. So you get a better product, you know, and a smaller product. Their pellets are probably 20% smaller than the other pellets that are on the market. So if you're going to, do you use pellets? Do you use pellets?
I haven't used it, and I didn't know this, and maybe because of this reason, I was a little bit against pellets because of the side effects and all that stuff. But this is good to know that they're compressing it without all the fillers. Because then,
yeah, well, most people, honestly, even with the fillers, most people don't have side effects. It's a very small percentage. I've got several docs that do pellets. I've got docs that are BioT pellets. Don't make the mistake of signing up for that rip-off organization. But
what kind of pellets?
It's a very small. Have you heard this company called BioT? BIOTE?
Yes, BioT. Yes.
Yeah, so they're one of the largest. They're not a manufacturer of pellets. Okay, they're a distributor of pellets that they buy from from a pharmacy. Some of them actually buy from Empower. But when you go through a company like BioT, you pay about 2.5 to 3 times as much for the pellets than when you buy them direct from the pharmacy. Now, what they're going to tell you is that they give you access to their dosing guide, and they give you access to, training, but you're better off to just pay the $3,000 and go get your own training, and then buy the pellets for, $25 a pellet for the male pellets or so, versus, them charging you 55. Because what they do is they just charge, their charge is a percent of your revenue. They charge 55% of your revenue. So if you're doing the pellets for, say, like a male pellets, and you're charging $800, you got to pay them. You got to pay them like $450 for the pellets and the trocar kit. Now, the pellets typically, the pellets are about $25 to $28 at Empower, and a male needs 8 pellets, typically 8 of the 200 milligram pellets. So you must take 8 times 25 is about $200, right? And then the trocar kit's about 25. So you can pay Empower $225, or you can pay BioT like $450 to $500. So your pick. And they get you wrapped in a contract that you can't get out of easily. To get out of their contract, you have to pay them $25,000. Or if you don't, then you cannot treat those patients with any other hormone product other than a BioT product.
Oh man, that's crazy.
It is crazy. And a lot of docs have gotten themselves, I coach a couple of docs that didn't use me for coaching, and they got themselves tied into it, and now they're trying to figure out how to get out. Those guys are snakes. They are total snakes. So watch out for them. Just watch out for them. You're better off to go pay for your own training. There's plenty of courses that offer training in pellets, including WorldLink offers hands-on training where you can go and they have real people, and you actually, so there's a didactics part and there's a hands-on where you actually get to insert some pellets in a real person. So you're better off to go do that, pay for your own training. It's a weekend, 3-4 day course. Pay for that training yourself, and then buy your pellets for, half the price. And then that way you get more of the profit than BioT. The dosing is not that difficult. A regular man needs 8 pellets. If they're a little bigger, he needs 9. You test it. You test their levels. Most docs are testing their levels at when they first start pellets. They'll test their levels at about, say, 8 weeks. They'll see where the levels are, and the next time they do an insertion, they'll make an adjustment up from there if they need to. If there's a bigger guy and he needs maybe 9 pellets instead of 8. I know too many docs, they haven't done. I said, Doc, what's the variation in men? He said 8 or 9. I mean, there's just not that much variation. What's the variation in women? 200 and 200. They usually get 2 100 milligram pellets for testosterone. They either need a 10 or 12.5 pellet for estradiol. I said, so that's all the variation. So what's this whole dosing guide then thing? Because I was thinking that there were 20 different strengths of that. There isn't. Everybody I know is using either 10 or 12.5 for estradiol in a woman, and they're using either 1600 or 1800 in a man, depending on their size. So, like I said, so there's not a whole lot to a dosing guide. Bottom line, but a lot of docs are getting good results with pellets. You will get demand for them. People like pellets because they don't have to do anything or take anything. I will say that most docs will tell you that they get better, that the pellets provide a better benefit even for women more so than men. Partly because men don't have typically any injection site issues. I mean, women don't have any injection site issues because they have a lot more fat. Men, especially if he's a relatively, relatively lean person and not a lot of fat, they sometimes do have injection site issues from the pellets, whereas women just don't. They've got more fat. You're in the fat layer. They never know they're there. They heal better. And so I've heard a lot of docs say that, their men pellet patients are more problematic than their women pellet patients. So. Anyway,
based on all the things, based on all the things, doctors must use you for like their practice management and like to improving their practices and things like that. Yeah,
they do. Like I said, I do. Right, I do consulting with a fair number of docs across the country. I do. Like I said, I'm on the WorldLink faculty, so I actually do instruction when they do their business. WorldLink has a business course for integrative physicians.
Mhm.
I'm one of the lead instructors in their business curriculum. So I do that a couple times a year with WorldLink. So yeah, I do. I mean, a fair number of docs. For at any one point in time, I usually have 4 or 5 docs that I'm consulting with, concurrently on some aspect of their practice, either how to grow it, or they're stuck, or should I add this modality or should I not? And if I do, how do I price it? How do I figure out how to get it to market, et cetera? So all of those things we help with. All right. So basically that's the first step, is we put the item into the formulary. The second step then, after it's in the formulary, is that you do have to price it. So this is where we go to price it. So we can go in here, let's pick DHEA, and we'll pick our test pharmacy. I'm just doing a search to find those items. Now, the ones that have a price already have a check mark. The ones that don't have a check mark don't have a price, okay? So if I want to add a price for, say, this one here, Bias Testosterone DHEA Cream, I click it, which illuminates these two over here.
Mm-hmm.
I click create a new price item, create a new item, select my merchant account, select my location. In this case, I'll say all. Now, I get to put in multiple price records, because a lot of times pharmacies give you a break on a certain quantity, so the pricing is not always linear. So let's say, for example, that my main go-to quantity on this cream is 30 grams, and the pharmacy is going to charge me, $45 for it. So I'm going to charge $90 to the patient. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in 30 grams, price is 90. But guess what? So I click add. Now the next one I'll do is I'll do 60 grams, because that's the next size they typically offer in a cream. But a lot of times 60 grams is not quite twice 30 grams. So let's say for 60 grams, they'll offer that to me for $60 instead of double, which would have been 90, right? Because it only takes, the material is inexpensive, and it doesn't take but a couple seconds more labor to put in 60 than it takes to put in 30. So a lot of times they give you a price break on a larger quantity. So now 60 then, instead of being $180, since they're only charging me 60, I can sell that for, say, 120. Now maybe I want to be a little greedy and take a little bit more money profit, so I'll make it 130. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you see what I'm saying? I can have as many price points as I want. Now, I always have to have a price point for a quantity of 1. So for 1, which is like 1 gram, and that would be like for a sample. Let's say somebody said, well, hey, I want to just try it. I don't want to buy the whole $90 worth, but can I just try it for a few days? So you say, sure. But so basically what we do is we just say the price of 1, you would have found out from the pharmacy what a price of 1 is, and it's usually quite a bit. So we'll just say 1 is $5 your cost. So you're going to sell 1 then for, say, $7. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what that says then is that what happens is the system first looks to see, when you're over in the prescribing part and you prescribe a quantity, the system looks to see, is that quantity exactly in the price table? So if you prescribe 30, it's going to produce a price of 90. If you prescribe 60, it's going to produce a price of 130. But if you prescribe 5, okay, 5 isn't in the table. So then it says, okay, well, I have to go to the price of 1 times 5. So then it would say it's $35. That's what it would do. It would take, if that price that you prescribe is not in the price table specifically, it'll take the price of 1 and multiply it by the price. And so like I said, in the case of, in this case, if I prescribe 5, it's going to make the price $35. That makes sense?
Yes.
So you can have as many of those price points as you want, and then you just click create, and that's how you do it. That's how you create prices for all of your prescriptions that are back here. And you can't sell them until you have a price back here. You got to have the price back here in order to sell them in the concierge model. So if you're just prescribing them in general and the pharmacy is just going to do their own thing, then you don't need to have a price. But when you're going to sell the medication, then you have to have a price, because otherwise the system doesn't know what to charge, right? Mm-hmm. So it's pretty clear that it needs a price. So that's how you price them. You just go. Now, if a bunch of items are the same and they're going to have the same price, okay, so like here's another one, Bias Test, okay, DHEA cream. Let's say that one's the same price. I don't actually have to create another whole price. What I can do is this. I select it, and in this case, I click Find Matching Items. So now it finds the other ones that have the same medications, okay? So here's the same one, the one I just priced above it. And what I do is I can say, okay, I click here, and then I'm saying associate these items, so give them the same price. And now those two items just share one price item. So if I have a lot of items like that, it makes it a lot easier when it's time to adjust prices, say in a year or so when the pharmacy changes prices, I only have to adjust one price and then it adjusts multiple items because because of the way I link them. So you can link items together in the way that I just did so that you can, you don't have as many prices. So now these two items you can see here have the same price. They both have that same 1 for 7, 30, 90, the 90 for 30 and 130 for 60. They have the same price.
So when I prescribe these medicine and somebody wants to use insurance, I would just have to.
No, you don't use this model. You don't use this model when somebody wants to use insurance. You're going to have to send them to an insurance-based pharmacy. But here's what you're going to tell them. Okay. In most cases, you can sell the medication usually to them for less than their copay on insurance, because here's why. Insurance will only let them get for their copay 1 30-day supply at a time. Okay. So like, for example, a lot of my practices, because of what they can buy it for, I just give you, this is a common medication. They sell progesterone for $69 for 90 capsules. 90 capsules for $69. Now, most patients are paying at least $30 a month in copay for progesterone. So how much is 30 times 3? $90. So are they better off paying 90 or paying you 67? You see what I'm saying? And at 67, you're still making money. So they're better off. So the way you explain it is you tell them that generally most patients are going to come out better with the cash pricing. You can say, however, I'm more than willing to send your script to an insurance-based pharmacy. Because these three, none of them take insurance. But I am willing, and you got your other ones, and you say, I am willing to send your script to an insurance-based pharmacy, but you're probably going to end up paying more. You tell them that. And the other thing you could say, which is, and being honest, you can say that, and when I do that, because I don't know that pharmacy as well as I know these other ones, I can't guarantee you that, you're really getting a great quality product, because you can't. But the other pharmacies, I work with them. They're large pharmacies. They're 503B in the case of Empower. So that's a whole different level of pharmacy. So, you decide how you're going to convey it to your patients. But what most of the docs do is you never take away choice. You always give the patient a choice. You don't want to take away choice and say they must use your pharmacy. But what you're going to find, most people want the simplest way. And if you tell them, look, it's easier to just do it this way. Your reordering is easier. You're typically going to pay less in total. Okay. You're going to find that 70 or 80% of the patients will just go along with the flow. They won't bucket and say, you're going to still have that one patient that comes and says, I want to use my pharmacy that's right down the street. And you say, great, ma'am, no problem at all. I'll send the script down to that one down the street. Okay. So you will have those. But again, you will have also the majority of them that just want your solution. They bought into you. They want your solution, and your solution is to use these medications. Okay. And some of the medications, like, for example, like the peptides, their local pharmacy doesn't make them anyway. So it's a non-issue because the things that are at TaylorMade, they can't even get those things at their local pharmacy. Okay.
Right.
So not all of these medications are available at those little mom and pop local pharmacies. So that's all I'm saying is that, and that's the other answer, is that some of them are not available. So they're still going to have to get some of them through your recommended pharmacies. Okay.
Got it.
So that's the way you kind of convey it, but you don't take away patient choice. You don't want anybody saying that you force them to use your pharmacy. Okay. It's a choice that they made to use your pharmacy. All right. So that's the way you set up your medications on the medication list. So basically what you're going to do is I'm going to send you these catalogs, and we'll walk through this the next time, but I'll send you, like a catalog. You're going to go through and pick out the things you're going to use. You're going to then go into their formulary, just like I did there with the test pharmacy, pick those things, put those into your short list, and then decide. So let's just do one here before I run out of juice here. Let's do one or two just to make sure, and we'll do this for real in your pharmacy. So the first thing we have to do is we actually have to add the pharmacy. So let me do that first. So we have to go to Add and Manage Pharmacies. So this is how you add a pharmacy. Now this is what we call our national shortlist. So you don't want to put patient preferred pharmacies on this list. This is the national list. There is another list that is specific to each patient that you're going to put their local pharmacies on, like CVS and Rite Aid, in case you're also prescribing commercial medication. So you don't want to put those on, because this list is going to show up on every patient. And what you want is, you only want the national pharmacies and that particular patient's local pharmacy on their list, because otherwise you're going to be confused and not know where to send the script. So we're going to go shortlist the pharmacy, and we're going to pick, we'll pick Empower. And shoots, what's Empower's zip code? So we need to look that up real quick. So their zip code is 77041. Okay. So we're going to pick, let me get back to the right screen. 77041. And you can leave the radius at 25 miles, and I will just find all the pharmacies within a 25-mile radius. Now, whenever you see there's more than one and one has a little C by it, that means that's the one that's carrying the compounding formulary. So you want to use that one for compound. So you're going to grab that and just click Save. That adds that pharmacy to your short list, okay? Now, we're going to go to Admin Options. We're going to, and this is all in our documentation too, by the way, but you'll obviously have this video as well. So now I'm going to pick Empower Pharmacy. And now I can pick any medication that I want to pick. So we'll start off with something like, let's start off with something like testosterone. All right, so we picked testosterone. So here's all the different variations of testosterone that are in their formulary. We want the regular testosterone, and we want, say we want a cream. So we'll pick a cream. And then here's the strengths of testosterone cream that they have. And so we want 100, maybe, we want 100, let's see, we don't want all those strengths, but we want 100, maybe we want 150. And then on the women's side, we might want, say, 40. And let's see what else we want. Maybe that's good enough for right now. We're just going to take 100. We got a couple of them. So we've added those to our formula. Now I don't know right offhand what the price is, but basically we're going to go look up the price in our catalog. Okay, we're going to go look up the price in the catalog to find out what the price is. We're going to click that. We're going to click Create a New Item. We're going to select our ACE account. We're going to select all locations. We're going to put in our price for our main quantity, which is going to be 30. And let's just say that, you know, it's $75. We're going to click Add, put in our price for 60. And let's say that one's 150. And then we're going to put in a price for one, and we'll say that that's going to be, you know, $5. Okay. So those are the prices that we want. And we click Create. That adds those items with that price. Now, if all three of these, if their testosterone cream is the same price for all strengths, I just click here, click here, click here, and then click Associate Items. And now, bingo, they all have the same price. So I just made them all share that one price item. So all three of those now have the same exact price, and I don't have to like have separate price records for all of them. And so I'm done. I'm ready to use those now. That's it. And then I just go on. So you can see, even if you have a couple hundred items, how long is it going to take you? Maybe an hour to set all it up. But once you set all it up, then it sets up a profit center for you. It doesn't take that long. Okay. So like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the catalog for. In fact, I'll go ahead and send you TaylorMade's right now, just since I got that one right open. I'm going to send you this catalog right now.
I tried to add TaylorMade Pharmacy, and I added that. And then I tried to search the medication IGF-1 on the medication list under Managed Formularies, and it doesn't pull up.
Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so there's their catalog and pricing. Okay, now I'm pretty sure I know why, but we'll check it out. It's the same. Well, no, TaylorMade, you got the one with the C, TaylorMade compounding with a C. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, okay, it's possible, for example, on that one, it may not be in the formulary. If no doctor has used it yet, it may not be in the formulary. So, but let's pick something that I know is in there, like Thymosin, THYM. There we go. So there's Thymosin alpha 1 and Thymosin beta 4. So that IGF-1, I don't recall anybody having used that. So that's just not in there yet. But all you have to do is let us know, and we'll get it added right away. It's not a problem. I'll just take a note right now that you want IGF-1. Yeah.
I thought all the
TaylorMade is new. TaylorMade is new, so we don't see what happened is on the other pharmacies, they had a way to give us their formulary electronically, and we just consumed the whole thing. So it's like 8,000 items. TaylorMade at the time we started working with them, they didn't have their formulary in a form that they could give it to us electronically. So we just manually added the items that doctors were actually using, since they were a smaller pharmacy. We just, because they didn't have the ability to give us their formulary in an electronic format that we needed it in, that would let us electronically consume it like we did for Empower and APS. So that's why we don't have everything in there, just because, again, we've only put them in based on demand. And, we did a poll of the doctors that are using it and asked what they were going to use, and nobody mentioned IGF-1. I think that one is relatively new. IGF-1 is, so anyway. But not a problem. We'll get it added, and I'll let you know when it's added.
So these peptides, the vials, they are sent directly to the patient, and then the patient.
Everything is sent directly to the patient.
Will they bring it back?
Everything is sent directly.
Will they do it on their own?
Oh, they do it on their own. I mean, you're gonna teach them. Most of them are injections, and most of them are sub-Q injections. You're gonna just give them, instructions on how to, and the good thing about TaylorMade is, most of theirs are not sent lyophilized. They're actually sent already reconstituted. So all you got to do is just, most of them are like anywhere from 0.1 to 0.25, or 10 units to 25 units on the insulin syringe. So all you got to do is just teach the patient how to, sometimes. So what I would do if I were you is, you want to have some of those needles in your office, and if the patient has any concern about how to do the injection, you can just show them while they're in the office. Say, look, it's just a sub-Q injection. You're going to take a little tiny needle like this. You're going to put it anywhere under the belly button, alternate sides from right to left, and draw it up and put it in. So you could just, have a little saline or something there so that you can just do a practice injection with them at the office. But most people don't have any trouble doing a sub-Q injection. Now, if it's an IM injection like testosterone, then you want to, typically either have yourself show them, or you can have them bring their medication in when they get it and say, hey, when you get the medication, bring it in, and I'll show you personally how to do your first injection. So the IM is a little bit more involved. If they haven't done it before, that's what most of my docs do. If they haven't done it before, that's what they'll do. Now, a couple of my docs have built their own little video library, and they make videos on how to do these injections, and they send those out with the patient. So, and you like doing videos, so that's probably a suggestion for you, is do little videos, little 2-3 minute videos, and say, this is how to do an HCG injection. This is how to do any other sub-Q injection. Draw up the amount that's stipulated in the prescription, using an insulin needle, and, inject it alternating sides, in the lower abdomen. So, but it's up to you. You can either just do it all in text. Again, the system can deliver all this content for you, so you can do it all in text that you write and send to them. You can build a video library of 3 or 4 videos that shows them how to do the injection. And like I said, in the case of testosterone or something that's IM, you would suggest that they bring it in for their first injection, and either you or your nurse would show them how to do it the first time.
Okay.
And if you get some doctors simply charge the patient to do it every week. Some guys don't ever want to do their testosterone injection, and so you can say that's fine for $5 a week or $10 a week. You can just bring your medication in, and we'll inject it for you. So it's all up to most men actually that are on testosterone injections. They like doing the injection. Most of them don't have any fear, but I had one doctor tell me about a patient that she had. The guy is a former Navy SEAL, of a real Navy SEAL, and he refused to do it. He said, I just can't do it. He couldn't do it. Now, this guy has flown people into danger. He's been in danger. He's been in harm's way, and he can't give himself a damn IM shot, with a 25 gauge 1-inch needle. You just couldn't do it. Okay.
That's
I don't
amazing.
quite get that, but yeah. So, but anyway, that's what I suggest on that front. Like I said, but the medications will be sent directly to them, to the patients directly. In fact, unless they're a 503B pharmacy, they cannot by law send it to you if it's controlled substance at all. Only 503B pharmacies can have an office use controlled substance license.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to send it to the patient. They don't have a choice if it's controlled substance. Now, if there's, again, if for a particular patient, if it's not a controlled substance and that patient wants you to show them how to do everything, you can always make the office the receiving address on the order when you send it, as long as it's not a controlled substance. You can do that and then have them ship it to you. Remember, that screen that I showed you, you can change that on the fly to whatever shipping address you want. So if you wanted it to come to the office, you can change it for patient by patient. You can have it come to the office if you want.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So basically, like I said, get the forms turned in, get the license, all that stuff turned in from the emails that I've sent you. And then basically, you're ready to start prescribing here. We'll have your, we'll have your patients in here next week, and you can start using this ASAP. You don't have to wait till everything is ready. So you can start using this stuff. So let's get those applications in, and we can get this moving.
Okay. So
right.
I need the
I got to run. Oh,
sure. I need the third pharmacy, APS pharmacy link, or their
right. Yeah, I will. There's this paper. So I will I'll get their application sent to you. I must have not gotten that one, but I'll get theirs sent to you as well.
Okay. And then there was only one catalog from TaylorMade, not from Empower.
Yeah, I'll get you I need to get the other catalogs as well. I'll get you Empower and the APS catalog as well when I send you the other. So I'll get 2 more catalogs and we'll get that sent definitely.
Oh, okay. Hey, a quick question. Do you have kids?
One, he's 28, so I guess you call that a kid. He feels like a kid at times, but I have one kid.
Is he a doctor, or is she a doctor?
No. He's he was actually a pro basketball player. He played in Europe for a couple seasons, and then he got hurt, and so now he's kind of trying to really find himself. He actually worked for Empower for a while, and I don't think that was really what he wanted to do. So, he's finding himself. I think, he's just he got himself hurt after 2 years, and he hurt his knee bad enough that his surgeon said he could go back and play, but mentally he couldn't do it. He hurt it pretty bad. I mean, he tore 3 ligaments. 3 ligaments and the meniscus. He tore his ACL, MPFL, PCL, and his and meniscus.
Wow, he had stem cell injections?
Huh?
Did he get stem cell injections?
He did not. I mean, this was 2015. Stem cells was just starting to kind of come out. Stem cells wasn't where it is today in 2000. He used a hell of a lot of Summerellin, and I know they had him on Dendrolone and all kinds of stuff. So he did well. He healed well, actually. I mean, the surgeon was really pleased with the way he healed. I mean, considering the nature of the injury, I mean, it was a horrific injury. I mean, let me put it like this. The surgeon that fixed him up, fortunately, I knew a world-class surgeon. The guy that I knew, Tim, is a old ski buddy of mine. And he's also the team physician. He's one of the main team physicians for the Baltimore Orioles, and he's been team physician for at least 3 other sports teams. So you're talking about a guy that knows what the hell he's doing, right? I mean, he's on the lecture circuit. He actually lectures to other orthopedic surgeons on complex surgery. So unfortunately, Eric's case made one of his big lectures. It was like how to repair using internal bracing to repair multi-ligament knee injuries, and Eric's knee was his subject case. Okay.
Wow.
So not exactly what you want to be. I mean, his knee he had Eric's knee up on his office, and these pictures that showed the because now they got the cameras going while they're doing the surgery, and so it showed kind of the before, the in between, and the after, and the whole thing. It was pretty ugly injury, but he's doing fine. And Tim said, he was comfortable with him playing basketball again after 18 months. But like I said, he didn't have the heart. And I wouldn't have either. I'd have felt the same way. I mean, the guy still has, I think, seven pins in his leg. I think he's got 3 titanium and 4 plastic screws.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but he put him back together, and he's got full use, full range of motion. He's got an artificial ACL. His ACL was torn beyond repair, so they couldn't use it as he had to get a cadaver ACL. 3 surgeries total to fix him up. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
I was just curious, so I asked.
Yep. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, I've just got the one, but.
Do you know stem cell companies? Like, I'm working with Levion, but do you know anything about any other stem cell companies?
I know one. There's one that I've done quite a bit of research on. It's called, I'll have to look it up. I've dealt with so many companies with biologics in their name, but it had the word biologics in it. I did a lot of research with them. I met with the rep. I may have one doc that's using them now. The problem is the stuff is so darn expensive still that you got to really, that's why it's going big, like out west in California, places where you got a lot of celebrities and people that don't care about the money. But for chronic types of illness, they needed, like, at least all the ones I talked to, they needed like basically 3 series of injections, and with each one, like, your cost for the stuff, each one being about, like $4,000 or $5,000. So basically, by the time you mark it up and make a profit on it, you got to charge a patient about $25,000 for a series of treatments, for like chronic illness, if they got, say, chronic inflammation and, chronic, immune dysregulation and things like that. And there ain't too many people walking around that's willing to part with that much money. I mean, you can do the one treatment maybe and charge them obviously, less, but the problem is that from everything I've read, one treatment for chronic illness is just not typically effective. So,
yeah,
you need a lot more than that. And so, I think if you're going to be honest with the patient and try to get an outcome, you gotta give them enough treatments to get the outcomes. And so, from that perspective, I think that's the tough part, is just, monetizing it and being profitable and doing that in integrity. From what I've seen, the price points just don't really, and I think so until the prices come down a little bit, I think stem cells is still a little ways off for most people, especially with you in the Midwest. I just don't think in the Midwest you're going to find that many takers on stem cells.
Yeah, it's difficult. That's what I've heard from a lot of
and the other types of procedures are all based on knowing the anatomy. Like, I wouldn't, unless I was an orthopedic surgeon, I wouldn't mess with like knees and and shoulders and all of that kind of stuff unless I was an orthopedic surgeon and really knew the anatomy. So to me, you're kind of putting yourself at risk if you do those kind of procedures. The ones for chronic illness are done by IV, but the other ones are done injection site specific.
Yeah, but IVs are not allowed, right? Like, you can't market them as IV stem cells.
Right. So just be careful with that one. I think there's a lot of things I'd look at before stem cells,
But you don't know the name of that company though, right? Biologic something?
I don't know it right offhand, and I'm not at my computer right now, but what I'll do is when I get back this evening, I'll send it to you. I can find them. I just can't remember the name right off the top. Yeah, I met with a rep like 3 or 4 times. It wasn't easy to find them, but I did meet with a rep 3 or 4 times, and so I can find their information. I'll find it and send it to you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm Googling them, but they're not coming up at all. So I was.
Because they're using the stem cells that you get from umbilical cords. So those are the best ones. The ones that come from the umbilical cords. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's the company that I'm working with right now. That it's called Levion. But I was just curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah, my thoughts are right now, I think it's hard to make it work. I think, because in order to get good with it and, and have some success with it, you got to do some volume with it. If you do one every now and then, it's not worth offering.
Right, absolutely.
And I just don't think you're going to find a lot of takers at the kind of money that it costs. You can't really, there's no studies out that really promise great results. There's a lot of anecdotal stuff and small studies, but there's no larger scale studies that you can really point to and point out great results. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So you are dealing with a situation where, you're not selling from a position of strength.
Right. I totally agree with you.
So
Okay.
I
A long
will,
ways to go.
all right, man, I'll send it. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I'll send that stuff to you later on this evening, and once I get some power back, and we'll go from there. We'll get some more training going next week.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Doc. Have a good evening. Yep. You too.
You too. Bye.